General Motors in the 21st century has actually crafted, designed, and engineered some very memorable and legendary cars, such as the C7 Corvette, C8 Corvette, the ATS-V and CTS-V, and also the Chevrolet SS. But it seems as though the Cadillac and GM have really outdone themselves for 2022 with the CT4-V Blackwing. One of the issues that Cadillac has always faced is that they've wanted to take on the Germans head-to-head, such as the BMW M3 and M5, but also I think the Mercedes-Benz C63 and E63. The major problem is that their products always seem to fall short in the eyes of the general public, even if the driving dynamics were really the best we've ever seen from an American manufacturer. But it seems as though, because this is the last round of gas-powered cars, there's something special about the CT4 and CT5-V Blackwing. And today I'm going to take a quick walk around of the CT4-V Blackwing to see what has changed for this model compared to a regular CT4 or CT4-V series. And also see why, if you are looking at buying a performance car, maybe one last performance car that does not have any electrification whatsoever, no hybrid technology, then maybe taking a look at Cadillac and checking out the CT4-V Blackwing might be a great decision. Now, before we get in this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Colonial Cadillac in Woburn, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below so you can check out their extensive Cadillac inventory. Also, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so you're notified every time a new video goes live on the channel. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this video. Long before the push towards electrification, it was fair to say that the automotive industry had moved on from mechanical and enthusiast-focused sports sedans as vehicles became more technologically advanced. But also from a sales perspective, they weren't worth producing, as crossovers became the more lucrative path to travel. The Cadillac CT4-V Blackwing is one final hurrah for this American luxury manufacturer, as GM is dedicated to going fully electric later this decade. Having aspired to compete against BMW and Mercedes-Benz for the past 10 to 15 years, it appears as though they position themselves to be thrown into the mix as being one of the best cars money can buy in this market. Starting off with pricing, the 2022 CT4-V Blackwing comes in at just over $60,000, severely undercutting German competitors. What's rather intriguing about the CT4 as you work your way through the different trim levels is that it's never been a direct competitor to the BMW 3 Series or Mercedes-Benz C-Class, as not only is it more affordable, but it's also a smaller sedan. Yet journalists have been quick to throw the CT4-V into the same category as the M3, which performance-wise matches up, but when it pertains to exterior and interior dimensions, that's where Cadillac is a bit outsized. Being 2 inches shorter and 3 inches thinner than the M3, this will have a profound effect on interior spacing, and we'll get into that later in this video. Making a bold statement last year when we checked out the CT4-V series, the Blackwing builds on a striking design, one in which I wouldn't hesitate to say might be the best looking Cadillac in many years. In black, this sedan retains a level of class and has that typical American luxury vibe. But now that Cadillac offers some brighter colors, that's where the smaller details grab your attention, such as the mesh grille, aggressive front bumper, but also the LED headlight housings, which flow both vertically and horizontally. Optional, you can add on a carbon fiber front splitter. However, if you're driving the CT4-V Blackwing as a daily driver rather than for track use, you may find yourself scraping if you live up here in New England. Moving over to the side profile, the CT4 will be sitting on 18-inch alloy wheels, with your choice of going with a satin graphite or tech bronze finish. On a very quick test drive, the active dampers, stiff suspension, and great handling culminated the driving experience, and is honestly more impressive than the straight line performance. Ride quality is certainly on par with European offerings at this price point, and hopefully soon we'll take a deeper dive into the driving dynamics. You'll have body color folding side mirrors with turn signal indicators, to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Then coming around to the back, the decently sized and not too egregious deck lid spoiler and quad exhaust outlets without question are the best cosmetic attributes for the rear fascia of this sedan. As mentioned earlier, you can opt for carbon fiber trim pieces to complement the road presence of the CT4-V Blackwing. And not discussed enough is the subtle muscular frame and body lines that become a bit more noticeable from the rear that just enhances the overall look of this sports sedan. Under the hood, the CT4-V is powered by a twin turbocharged 3.6-liter V6 engine that produces 472 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque, and can be paired with a 6-speed manual or 10-speed automatic transmission. The fact that you do have the option for that manual is why some traditional and longtime BMW buyers have now looked to Cadillac, as the CT4 is a more affordable alternative. And another reason why many are excited about this car, rear-wheel drive does come standard, giving you the ability to have some fun on the track or unwinding back roads. For fuel economy, you're looking at right around 15 miles per gallon in the city and 23 miles per gallon on the highway. Stepping inside, our model is equipped with the $3,000 high-performance front bucket seats that will most definitely keep you in place during spirited drives. The quality of the leather upholstery will likely be the highlight of the interior, as Cadillac focused a lot of their energy on the touch points throughout the cabin, such as the armrests and leather-wrapped steering wheel. While not attempting to be plush or as detailed as what you'd expect from BMW or Mercedes-Benz, what you will notice is that the interior layout is relatively simple and driver-focused. In front of you, a full digital gauge cluster showcases a variety of information. But best of all, this screen is customizable where you can access driving statistics that's relevant to you. On the steering wheel, you'll find the Performance Traction Management toggle, which shows up on the right side of the display, along with the drive mode you've selected. And one minor touch that's great to see in such a special car is the carbon fiber trim piece found at the bottom of the wheel. Then moving over to the infotainment system and dashboard, if you're familiar with Cadillac products that don't have the Escalade badge, this is the same user interface found throughout the lineup. You'll have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to go along with onboard navigation. While not as tech-focused as we see from other competitors in this segment, if you're the type of buyer that prefers a traditional interior with physical buttons and dials for the volume and tuning, climate control settings, and 3-level heated and ventilated seats, you'll find yourself right at home behind the wheel of the CT4. As always, there will be a rear backup camera with trajectory to go along with front and rear parking sensors. Returning to the center console, we have a wireless phone charging pad, and for those looking to buy the manual, the CT4-V Blackwing does rev match on downshifts, which will certainly put a smile on your face. For the center storage compartment, there will be enough room for smaller items. And rounding out the front seating area, above will be a power moonroof to let in some natural light to the interior. Now moving on to the second row, we're going to start off on the passenger side. And this seat is adjusted a little further back and somewhat on a recline. And I have still a few inches of legroom to work with here. Now, as I've said numerous times on the channel with the CT4, this is not a family hauler by any means. If you do have kids or you do have taller passengers in the second row on a consistent basis throughout the week, you're going to want to go with the CT5. But one thing I find really interesting and also unfair to the sedan is that when I reviewed the CT4 Premium Luxury about 2 years ago, that car goes up against the A3, the BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe, and also the Mercedes-Benz CLA. But once we get to the CT4-V Blackwing, all of a sudden it goes up against the BMW M3, which I think it's mostly because of the performance, also the manual transmission, and the M3 just seems to be the more natural one-on-one comparison to this car. But when you take a look at its width and also its length, it's shorter and thinner than the M3. And that's why I feel as though the expectations for the second row should be kept to a minimum compared to what BMW is offering. Now, for shorter people like myself, I think we can sit back here rather comfortably. And also, a reoccurring theme for this sedan is that Cadillac really focused on giving this car more of an upscale feel in the right areas. Sure, you have hard touch plastic on the door panels, but you have suede backs to the front seats, and also the leather upholstery really keeps you in place as a good amount of bolstering. So as a passenger, if my driver is more of an aggressive type, or maybe I'm on the track and I'm getting a on-track experience, I'm going to have that confidence that I'm not going to get thrown around, and I'm going to feel very secure back here. But when it comes to legroom though, that's where I think expectations need to be kept to a minimum. Also, of course, with that headroom as well. I think taller passengers will feel very cramped back here for sure, but I don't think that's what the CT4-V Blackwing was designed to do. And then moving on to the center seat, the center hump is very aggressive, really gives this car that grand touring feel. So I don't think you're going to be able to fit a third person back here, and I didn't say that for the CT4-V series or the CT4. And then on the driver's side, I adjusted the seat to someone of my height, around 5'5", and I have a good amount of legroom to work with here where I'm not going to feel uncomfortable or cramped. So again, for people of my height and for maybe average size adults, they should be fine, but for taller passengers around the height of 6 feet tall, that's where they're going to feel very claustrophobic. Also back here, you will have 2 rear air vents to go along with a USB-C input and also a 12-volt outlet. And rounding out the rear seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Quickly taking a look at the practicality for the CT4-V Blackwing, you're going to have right around 11 cubic feet of room behind the second row seats, which is pretty much on par with most cars of this size. Now, it does fall a bit short compared to the M3, but that's to be expected with the CT4-V Blackwing being thinner and shorter than that M3. I was able to fit all my camera gear today and then some. So that's 2 bags of camera gear, a gimbal box, and a tripod, and I probably could have done grocery shopping after as well. If you are going on a road trip with a family member or a couple friends, there is enough room for 3 to 4 bags of luggage. So if you are going to a track event or maybe you're going on a rally, you can definitely go on that weekend trip and have a lot of fun. Then on the right side of the rear cargo area, you are going to have a small compartment for possibly a couple water bottles or maybe even car detail equipment to keep the CT4-V Blackwing looking nice and clean. Then, of course, with the second row seats full, you're going to have even more space to work with. Now, most likely, you won't find yourself in a position to have those second row seats down because you'd probably buy a CT5 or maybe even a crossover if that was the case and that was a priority. But ultimately, I still feel the CT4-V is offering more than enough when it comes to interior spacing and also the cargo space as well, where you can definitely do your daily tasks throughout the week. So to wrap up this quick walk around for the 2022 CT4-V Blackwing, what are my initial thoughts and impressions for this sedan? Well, I feel as though this is the result when Cadillac and General Motors gives a 110% effort. And the reason why I say it is because, one, you have the manual transmission, but also you have a car that's focused on the driver and nothing else. It's not a family hauler. It's not really a car that I would say is a perfect daily driver in that sense. This car is meant for the track, is meant for aggressive driving. Now you could say that, well, what about the ATS-V? What about the CTS-V? Why are you completely overlooking that? Why are those 2 cars completely forgotten? And also, why are people focused on this new round of sports sedans from Cadillac? And I think it's mostly because Cadillac really gave this car sharp handling, but also great performance at a price point that undercuts the BMW M3 and M4. And even, of course, the M5 if you are looking at the CT5-V Blackwing. But this car is really a back to the basics approach, where yes, you do have a full digital gauge cluster, but the technology isn't going to really dominate your experience with this sedan. You have a touchscreen, but you have physical buttons and knobs for your climate control settings and also the volume and tuning. But also the seats really keep you in place. They're very aggressive, they're very aggressively bolstered, but also I love the upholstery as well. But as I mentioned when we checked out the second row seating area, Cadillac really focused on the touch points for this car, where you have a nice leather wrapped steering wheel that feels really aggressive at 9 and 3 and also 10 and 2, but also feels really good in the hands. And then also, even though you have Tartus plastics on the dashboard and the door panels, you do have a nice cushioning area for your arms on the door panel itself. Then of course you have carbon fiber for the center console, and it just really seems to me that Cadillac really focused on the smaller details for this trim and for this sedan. And I think that's why buyers are really excited about this car, because it gives you everything you want. It gives you the basics, gives you that manual transmission, that performance, and also I think a price point that is rather fair. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.